Langston Hughes, poet of the people. Famous African-American writer and one-time Lawrence resident Langston Hughes, born in Joplin, Missouri, is celebrated throughout the world. Missouri-born Langston Hughes found a home with his grandmother, Mary Langston, after moving to Lawrence, Kansas. Hughes primarily lived with his grandmother during his early childhood while his mother moved about seeking jobs. His grandmother deeply influenced his values, which is evident throughout his writing, said Edgar Tidwell, professor of English at the University of Kansas. He was a pivotal figure in the Harlem Renaissance. The Harlem Renaissance is naturally associated with 1920s Harlem. Alain Locke, in his 1925 introduction to The New Negro, envisioned a continual blossoming of black literature and art, not a one-time event. Hughes and Zora Neale Hurston's lengthy careers, flourishing well past the 1920s Harlem Renaissance, exemplified Dr. Locke's prediction of a continuous artistic movement. He was a poet of the people.
Poem, Mother to Son. Well, son, I'll tell you. Life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It's had tacks in it, and splinters, and boards torn up, and places with no carpet on the floor. Bare. But all the time, I's been a-climbing on, and reaching landings and turning corners, and sometimes going in the dark where there ain't been no light. So, boy, don't you turn back. Don't you set on the steps 'cause you find it's kinda hard. Don't you fall now, for I's still going, honey. I's still climbing, and life for me ain't been no crystal stair.
Langston Hughes dedicated his life's work to fostering unity, said Sean Alexander, director of the Langston Hughes Center at KU and associate professor of African and African American Studies. He sought to break down barriers, bringing people together across social, political, and artistic lines. He was also one of the first artists to write jazz poetry. His first volume of poetry is called The Weary Blues in 1926. He integrated jazz and blues rhythms, subjects, themes into his poetry. He was more than just a poet, he was a writer in almost any genre you can think of. While famous for his poetry, Hughes was a truly versatile writer. His creative output ranged from short stories, plays, and novels to autobiographical reflections, journalistic works, song lyrics, and even historical writings. His influence extended beyond poetry. In 1962, Hughes made a significant contribution to civil rights history with the publication of Fight for Freedom, the story of the NAACP. Throughout his career, Hughes wrote 16 collections of poetry, 12 novels and short story collections, 11 major plays, 8 books for children, 7 works of nonfiction, and numerous essays. He was rebellious, breaking from the black literary establishment. He was a world traveler. He was seen as more than just an American. He was viewed as a citizen of the world. Langston Hughes is often thought of solely within an American context, but his extensive travels are a lesser-known aspect of his life. Hughes had traveled extensively. By the time he died in 1967, he had visited Africa, Asia, Latin America, Europe, and the Caribbean. Langston Hughes' wanderlust shines through in his autobiographies, The Big C, 1940, and I Wonder as I Wander, 1956. These captivating records chronicle his journeys across the United States, Europe, Africa, Russia, and East Asia. Langston Hughes was drawn to the diverse cultures of the world, celebrating the unique spirit of communities across the globe. People naturally gravitated to his warm personality, and it was said he never met a stranger. Despite his outgoing nature and ease with others, Hughes experienced complex familial relationships, particularly with his mother. The collection, My Dear Boy, Carrie Hughes's letters to Langston Hughes, 1926 to 1938, provides a unique window into Hughes's bond with his mother, primarily through her letters written toward the end of her life. Langston Hughes's personal life, as revealed in these letters, was rich and complex. However, his professional pursuits were equally noteworthy. For instance, he worked with the father of Black history, Dr. Carter G. Woodson. A brief but often neglected connection occurred when Hughes came back to the U.S. from a tour abroad. He stayed in Washington, D.C. and spent some time working for historian Dr. Carter G. Woodson, Tidwell said. Hughes helped Woodson catalog new and noteworthy experiences and achievements of African Americans. These achievements were celebrated in Negro History Week, which Dr. Woodson inaugurated in February 1926 between the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. Appreciate today's video? Please like and subscribe. Black History Month year-round celebrates excellence all year. Stay informed, stay inspired.